Alrighty, here we are. Hi. Sooner than expected. So I hope you all saw Laura's message. She's really sorry not to be here tonight. Has a really nasty stomach bug she's recovering from. Um, and so I'm happy to be here with you all. Although I am thinking of I normally teach a class at Pikes Peak on Tuesday nights, so I'm thinking of my regulars and missing them. I know, dudes, and I'm that's so great. You're getting a whole week of Rebecca. Uh, yeah, we'll see about Thursday. Okay, so tonight is the business of yoga. This is another discussion format. And feel free to ask questions. It's not really pulling up any curtains to be like, here's how to do it. But we do go over a lot of things on what you need practically and what we want to help encourage you like from here. Can you believe it that we're here at the end? I can't believe it. We have Christine joining from Extended tonight. So I would.
You've seen me a few times.
Oh, okay.
The Mother's Day weekend.
Gotcha. Okay, great. So I'd love for us to begin with just a short check-in, how you're doing since I saw you last on Sunday. And you must be Al. Hi, I'm Rebecca. It's nice to meet you. And then we'll get to business. We'll get to business. So why don't we start online? Do either of you want to go?
Yeah, I can go ahead and go.
Okay, Mackenzie.
Hi, everyone. I would say I'm doing pretty good today. Lots of running around and getting everything situated and settled. But excited, trying to just figure out everything and definitely just feel like coming back, I can really see how far I've come. So that's all good. And there's just a long ways to go. But not in yoga training. I'm already missed you guys, but I'm excited to finish out with business of yoga.
That's great. Oh, we miss you too already. So glad you're here. Christina, you seem unmuted, so do you want to go ahead and go?
Sure.
Okay. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing really good. Same as Mackenzie, just been running around a lot today. I'm stuck in Denver, so I didn't know if I was gonna make it on time. So I was like, let me just be on Zoom today. And as well, excited to be learning the business of yoga because not sure what to expect.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And I will say it's a path that it is still, you're never sure what to expect with not just this evening, but like what happens from here, it can be just wild and you've got no idea. So yeah. Let's go this way.
Hi, good, okay. Started I had a college class today, so bouncing back and forth between I work this morning and then class, and then back to work, and then here.
Oh my goodness.
So it's been a fun day. And then after class, I was just like, I miss my yoga class, and I miss my sangha, and this isn't the same.
Totally involved. Yeah.
So,
Thanks. Hi.
Hi. I guess today my word is resistance. I'm really feeling resistant to a lot of things.
That's okay. It's all right.
including doing yoga and my sadhana, which I guess it's not a sadhana anymore because I haven't done it for 3 days. So
It's still a sadhana.
yeah,
It is.
I don't know anything about it, so I don't.
Yeah, no, it's still, it changes, it shifts over time. And then you learn that life is your sadhana and how you live it is sadhana. So it's okay.
Okay. Well, that's my short check-in. I mean, I'm doing overall like really unexpectedly and surprisingly good. So yeah, I mean, I actually really am grateful to all of you because like being here with you guys right now, it's just like I don't know, I didn't realize it until today, but it just really brightens up my day and it makes life a little bit better just having you guys around, even though this is only for a couple more days and you're already in Arizona. So yeah.
This time is bittersweet, but yeah, people, the connective tissue is really there. So you, yeah. Hi.
All right, I'm very tired. Yeah, overall, all right. Curious to learn about kind of what was discussed today, and yeah, I don't know. Excited for us all to teach out, and we're gonna get together at Sal's. And yeah, I don't know. Kind of to Anthony's point, I think a few of us were discussing like maybe doing a whole book club or something afterwards. So there'll probably be FYI to anybody who wasn't in that discussion the few times it came up. I'll probably drop a chat or something in the group chat and see if anybody else is interested in just kind of continuing to talk. Sounds like actually I require it. So I'm good.
Cool. Thanks.
So this is my last class, makeup.
Oh,
We did teacher practice yesterday. So that was the first one I've done. I don't know if you guys have done any of that practice teachers.
they do, yeah,
Oh, yeah, so you're really close. to
Yeah.
that done?
they finished Saturday.
Oh, you finished Saturday,
Yeah.
so you're, yeah, you really know. what you're doing. Good. Good. That's fantastic. Yeah, so I've got a long way. December, so I have some time to practice that, get better. Yeah,
Thank you.
thankful to be here.
We're glad you're here. Thanks.
Good to see everybody. Yeah, I feel really grateful for the saga and I'm feeling like I think that we're also different and going on different paths. So it's taken a long time for us to like create those like the connective tissue. But now I feel like we finally have it and now I'm like, all right, let's do this for like a full year now because now we're all like comfy with each other and like get actually. Yeah, so it is sad that saga is dissolving in a sense. Routine sense, but yeah, also really excited for luxury games.
Thank you, Sam.
So doing pretty good. Sad that it is gonna be over, but excited for all of us. No, y'all have such cool, great things. It's been, y'all have all been the unexpected friends / family that I needed. Didn't know I needed y'all, but thank y'all for that. Excited for Saturday. See us all crush it. I got a splinter. So.
Oh, no. I'm a splinter. Thank you.
Not a bad thing. Is there another question?
No, I've got nothing specific tonight. I just kind of want to hear how you all are. Sorry about your splinter. Yeah.
Something I remember too.
So.
Thank you. Yeah. Anything else?
I'm gonna be finishing with you guys on Saturday. The am gonna come support you guys. And I do just wanna say, like, seriously. A plus, 13 out of 10, like, no notes. Yeah, kind of what you said, like, y'all were exactly what I needed, and I'm just grateful to have everybody. You guys make me feel like a tangerine orange. It's the only color I could ever think of when I'm with you guys. And that's just, it's like happy and bubbly and fun. It is a fire spot, but yeah. So yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're right in front of me.
Yeah, just be right in front.
I'm doing pretty good. I feel like this time is very celebratory for me. One, because we are teaching out and that almost 12 weeks worth of effort, time, and consideration, contemplation, and learning is just kind of like culminating, but not really. It doesn't feel like it's ended. Like I still feel that there's just still a mountain I need to climb, whether that's like literally or not. And I'm also turning 20 in 7 days, which is really weird for me because I'm like, oh man. Oh, but I'm really thankful to have met everybody here at this point in my life, or any point in my life, because I think no matter what point or stage you are in life, it's always wonderful to know people in a way that you don't get with authenticity and vulnerability that's cultivated here.
It's a special yoga bubble
Yeah.
that you get to carry with you. Thank you.
Hello, feeling very, very tired today, but otherwise good. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
I'm doing good. I'm tired. I definitely feel it, like all the things happening at once. But I think it's this bittersweet thing because right now is like my last days and I won't be with everyone on Saturday, and it's a little bit like, man. But at the same time, I know it's not like everyone's leaving or gone. And I'm just so excited for everybody to go on their journeys wherever they go. And for me, I'm just, wow, this is just the start of something. And I feel that like sense of, wow, now what? So I'm like really hungry for more. So I don't know. I can't say anything else.
Great, thank you. And Reba slayed her teach out, by the way. Yeah.
Honestly, sure. I feel like I'm just kind of like disappointed the teachers the last couple of weeks, but also I can't feel bad about it because like what's done is done. So I guess I'll just have to be like a student that improves over time and just show evidence of improvement going forward, you know? Which is kind of what I was thinking about because objectively, yeah, I don't feel like I've shown my full potential as a student. I mean, intentionally in terms of absorbing the information I have, but showing up on time, not missing mentorship meetings. You know, those are also aspects of being a student that, you know, like I haven't shown that I can, I mean, intentionally I cared, but like through my actions, I haven't done that, which, you know, yeah, I just feeling bad's not gonna do anything, but I guess time will tell, you know, so yeah, I'll just leave it there. So just watch me.
Thank you.
Care about each other.
Yes,
Since we're all here,
yes,
last time.
please do.
So I don't do well in like groups, so this has actually been kind of a different experience for me. So I just wanted to thank you all for supporting me. I know each and every one of you at one point or another has done that. So thanks.
I don't think that Jake will go to that.
And thank you for bringing what you bring to this group. All the feels. I just really appreciate and I'm honored to be a little piece of it. So thank you all. Thanks for sharing. And what I'd like for us to do to get started is a little meditation. So find a comfortable seat where the spine can elongate and find its natural curvature. Hands can relax in the lap for a moment. Bring the gaze down to the floor or close the eyes. Everyone take a big breath in. Let your day go. Let it all go. And as you breathe, try to come into the present moment with the sounds around you. The feel of energy on either side of you. The temperature of the air on your skin. The taste in the mouth, or maybe the smell in the nose. Now roll the shoulders up towards the ears, just a little, and down the back a couple of times. And we'll take Angushta Mudra. So you can look up here. Thumbs touch, and they come right in front of the solar plexus. So the elbows are reaching out just a little bit. If this feels wholly uncomfortable, you can also like link the thumbs and kind of pull apart with them. Come back to closing the eyes or bringing the gaze to one point of focus. Feel the crown of the head gently lengthen up and feel the shoulders, the chest, the collarbone relax. Angushta Mudra directs energy and awareness to the chest, breath to the throat, providing spaciousness and awareness there. As you breathe, try to keep your focus on any sensations that arise with this gesture. Now, with perhaps a sense of spaciousness, begin to invoke or invite a sense of inner listening to the self, to the deepest of your intuition. And again, it's okay. It can be difficult with outside and external stimuli. But once again, bring the awareness towards the energy in the throat, the lightness in the chest, softness in the face. As you begin to listen to the intuition, visuals might arise, words, sensation. It might not be wholly complete, but begin to imagine what happens from here. What happens once you are equipped and moving on to however you end up sharing yoga, whatever capacity, whether you teach, let yourself begin to imagine what happens from here. No thought, no feeling, no sensation is too large or too small. What do you begin to see? Is it imagery? Is it color? What do you begin to hear? Even if it's a question mark, come back to the sense of spaciousness and repeat to yourself, through my inner wisdom, I listen. Through my inner wisdom, I act. Through my inner wisdom, I listen. Through my inner wisdom, I act. Draw the hands to Anjali Mudra at heart center. And bring the thumbs to the third eye. A gesture of reverence to inner wisdom. Bring the thumbs to the mouth. A gesture of reverence to Vishuddha chakra, to speaking your inner truth. And now bring the thumbs to the heart. A gesture of reverence to Anahata, the heart space which connects us. Inhale. Exhale. Let the hands relax in the lap. And slowly blink open the eyes. Yeah, take any little movements you like. How was that? If you'd like to take a moment to write down any thoughts or feelings. Anybody want to share? Sure. It doesn't, no meditation needs to blow your mind or provide all of the answers, but it does give you a chance to start creating action within your thought, right? That's what's nice about Invoke, I think, is creating a little bit of that little spark, that little clap that's just saying, hey, to the brain or to the heart space. Anything come up? Uh-huh.
It was a bowl from like right here to my hands, that it was like swirling mold and moving around like an anemone or a thread. And then I felt my hands just become really, really warm with that golden energy. And I was like, oh, hello. Oh, so yeah.
I know that make any sense. I just go out of images,
Yeah.
sensations. Which I guess is maybe that they'll play into what happens next, or there'll be signs of some sort. Like hearing drums, seeing a big iron bell, something about Halloween or like time around Halloween.
Cool.
Things like that.
Yeah, that's cool because, we're not gonna have any answers by the time you leave, right? And I don't mean leave, but the time we're kicking you out of the nest and saying, hey, you did it. It's fine to take the time to still be like, what do I want to do with this? You don't have to have it all planned out because I bet your plan won't go the way you think, you know? So it's just a way to start thinking, like daydreaming, really. It's a way to start daydreaming and listening a little bit more deeply. That is the nature of inner listening, is like, okay, I don't know what this means, but I'll just look out for it, Cool. So as I said, we're gonna ask questions anytime you would like tonight. I'm gonna give you just a little overview of like what my teaching story looks like. And I'll try not to make it long by any means, but 9 years ago at this time of year, I was sitting here about to finish my teacher training here at Cambio. So it was summer. The summer program is what I did as well. So it holds a special place in my heart. I lived in Cripple Creek at the time. So I was driving down, 4 times a week or whatever. And if I wanted to take extra classes and things like that, it was a lot. But it was a blessing. And I feel once I finished my teacher training, I went straight into an internship and I really benefited from that, teaching right away. That's something I knew I wanted to do. So I did an internship here with Cambio, and from that I was hired on and I started teaching 2 classes. Like I told you on Sunday, I taught for like the first year and then just decided it was a little too much, the commute. I was driving down here on my days off, that sort of thing. It was a little much for me, and I was working a full-time schedule at the time. So I went on the sub list. It's not that exciting from there. Really, I went through different moves throughout the state. I was in Estes Park, I was in Woodland Park, and the entire time I found like a yoga studio. There, even in tiny towns, luckily there's at least a studio, you know, there's one. So I would find the studio, I would start practicing there, and eventually we'd strike up conversation with the owner or whatever. Oh, you did your 200-hour. Well, do you want to teach with us? And since I knew I was not in one place for long, I'd say, sure, I'll sub or whatever it is. So I kept subbing until we moved to Colorado Springs in, I don't know, 6 years ago. And I did my 300-hour here that year. We bought a house. I was financially supporting both me and my partner through my crazy job, and I got pregnant. And so all of these things I tell you about my personal life with it, because all of this helped kind of inform what and why and how I was still teaching yoga. I had to remind myself a lot, why am I wanting to do it? And I continued to teach just whenever I could, as much as I could, which is why I like to say, you're going to go through a lot of ebbs and flows of, this doesn't feel like I can handle it in my life right now, or this is something that I want to pursue passionately, like with all of my might. And all of those paths are okay. It's okay for you to do whatever you want with it afterwards. But I say, just keep going. Please be the little engine that could. Even whenever you think, it's not for me anymore. If there's a tiny piece of you that keeps saying, I think I can, stick with it, even when it's difficult. Because then one day you might be in my spot, or you might be in teaching retreats in, I don't know, Africa. I have no idea, but something could come to fruition. So after my 300-hour, I've just been teaching along with the other work that I did. COVID hit, had my baby, all of those things. My other work wasn't available, so I really dove into all that is here. I've done tons of internships here. I've also done online trainings, and really some of my best learning to diversify my learning was practicing in other studios when I wasn't in Colorado Springs. You know, I just kept practicing. And that, if you hear anything else, I just implore all of you, please keep with your practice. Your practice is going to inform so much in your life, and it's going to inform what you do with teaching from here. So be the little engine that could. Ask Laura about her story sometime, because it's much more interesting than mine. She's all, I trained with Baron Baptiste, and then I went to, I don't know, all of these different things. But even Laura hoofed it, because she had a full-time job. And when she first started teaching, she loves to tell this story. I love to hear it, of her going back and forth from, like, she on her lunch hour, drive to the gym with her space heater. She'd turn on the space heater to warm up the little space in the gym that they were letting her teach yoga. She would teach her yoga class, and then she would hoof it back to work for the rest of the day. Like, everyone has to start out really paying their dues. So if you're willing to work hard, then the reward, I think, is great. The rewards are great, just like with anything. I love that piece of it. I mean, she was just trying to work her tushy off. So there's a little bit about me and about my teaching. So now I teach not exclusively at Cambio, but I teach public class here. I am on the teacher training staff, and I also do internships with 300-hour, like I told you. All the time from Cambio, there will be like one-offs where people are like, hey, there's this retreat. Does somebody want to like do this in-service teacher's day for this much money or whatever? So we're always being sent off to do little gigs and things like that. I also teach with Austin and Laura at the Center for Creative Leadership, which is a nonprofit here in town, but it's a global nonprofit that does basically like, I don't know, I would say leadership retreats, and we teach yoga with them. And that's also led to wellness coaching and things of that nature. So there's a lot that, like a wealth of things that can happen from yoga and from your communities. And I just say that to encourage you. You never know where it's gonna land you. And now this is actually, so as I mentioned, so what I did full time for 15 years was theater, musical theater. And now, and then I just kept trying to teach yoga, and now kind of it's flip-flopped. And what I do for the majority of my work is yoga. And then just occasionally I'll, do rent or something like that. So there's that. Let's talk about your why for teaching. And I want to read Cambio's mission statement to you. And just so that you can be thinking about from your voice workshop and from what's going on from here, like, where do you want to take it? What is important to you, and why is it important to you to share? Because from all of that work you did with the voice workshop, it also kind of sparks like little bits of, okay, well then from here, let's create a mission statement, something that you can come back to remind yourself of why you're doing it. Kind of like a teaching sankalpa. So Cambio's mission statement, our mission is to make yoga accessible to all. We know that financial consideration can be a barrier, which is why we offer generosity-based classes. We offer a wide variety of classes in an effort to make yoga available to all bodies and types of people. Our classes range from beginner all the way to yoga teacher training and include adaptive, chair, hot, vinyasa flow, power, vinyasa, meditation, specialized classes, workshops, and more. We are committed to yoga education by providing yoga teacher trainings, yoga living programs, continuing education, and workshops. Our community is dedicated to the ways in which yoga relieves suffering and creates joy. If you're looking for an uplifting place to explore or practice yoga, then Cambio may be just the yoga studio for you. We believe our generosity-based structure connects us to our community with a very special bond. We'd love to have you visit and see for yourself. So I'm curious, does that mission statement sound like Cambio? It's pretty spot on. And I know this has been updated over time. Yeah, this has been updated over time, but that's also important. It's important to return to a mission statement and let it be a living document. Let it be something that kind of brings you back, but also you can expand or contract on. What stood out to you in that?
Accessibility, because I come from a place where yoga is very much not accessible. It's all about the money. It's all about how you can't just pay your own drop. Like it's literally $30 a class. So I identified with that a lot because if it wasn't for Cambio, I don't know that I would have continued with my practice because it seemed so out of reach for me.
Yes.
Moving here.
Yeah. And I've got to say also, even though it is a big investment to do teacher training, it's one of the best prices like around, especially in yoga saturated Colorado. Mm-hmm.
Similar to accessibility and also education, because it's not just about the yoga, the asana, the practice, it's about learning about it, where it comes from, how it interacts with you, how it interacts with your community. And I feel like that's really important because there's a lot of appropriation of so many different things. I feel like it's very authentic.
Yes.
And also, yoga is really expensive.
Yes.
And I was looking at teacher trainings, some in Olympia, some in Colorado. They were like ranging from $5,000 to $7,000. And I was like, it's not in my budget. And they had a area of wiggle room for here. And I was like, I can do that. I know I can do that just because I'm passionate about it. I know I can do that.
Yeah,
And it felt worth it to me, you know?
that's great. So we've got accessibility and education. And actually yes, community. So Cambio is really strongly founded on those three pillars, we like to call them, of accessibility, education, and community. What about Cambio do you think embodies community, or how do they put that into practice?
Like some of the classes I've taken, but also that I've observed for. Some of the teachers would even go so far as to open class by encouraging people to talk to each other and saying like, hey, greet the person next to you, like learn their name, talk to them after class type of a thing. So really encouraging people to not stay in their bubble.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Kind of piggybacking off what Maggie said, just when I've been at other studios and I don't necessarily think this is inherently a bad thing, but there is this like sense of like don't talk when you go into the class into the room and like very people wouldn't like face each other and like here it's just like immediately everyone was communicating with one another, like just like a lot of friendliness just generally. So
Good. Yeah. Hopefully people, when you go into a busy class, hopefully they make room for your mat. Those sorts of things. And so I'm curious for you, if you were to take just, 60 seconds to think what, like 3 words, again, they don't have to be set in stone, but what 3 words do you want to embody, or what do you want your teaching to encompass? It's my question.
In 30 seconds.
60.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is hard.
It is. Totally.
This is harder than like writing those like yeah, well, that and what we were talking about the other day with Austin. Yeah.
Accessibility, community, and
Education. I know. I wonder if I could come up with 3.
What's the concept with those 3 words that describe?
The 3 words that embody your teaching, or what you want for your teaching, or for your mission statement. The rain and the music.
yeah.
So I can share. So my mission statement, I think we'll see. I haven't futzed with it in a while. But my mission statement for teaching, but it's probably for a lot of my life, a lot of areas of my life, is to cultivate more love through connection, curiosity, and play. Those things are important to me, and important to be like cultivating is also an important word to me. And it's not like it came to those, I did not leave teacher training with that mission statement. You know what I mean? Laura's is to empower others to be more than they ever thought they could be. And have any of you taken Laura's class? Do you feel like she infuses that into her teaching? She's an empowering teacher. How, besides making her yoga practice accessible, how else do you think what else does she do to empower others? Or to make them feel empowered? Teacher training? Yeah, for sure.
She offers a lot of options in her classes.
She does.
Yeah, but she's always offering like something that's like, I don't think I can do that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Here's one that might not seem obvious. She uses people's names a lot in class. I do, yeah. So what do you think are practices for creating connection, curiosity, and play in a yoga practice? I use names a lot. Yeah. I use story a lot as theme. Yes.
Like music from or just like free form movement, or even like the way you approach like asana, like
Yes.
how serious people feel like that to take in less than that.
Absolutely. You know, I have no idea if Austin has a mission statement or what it would be, but like oftentimes we'll have a little dance party in the midst of the practice, you know? And those are ways of infusing like what you care about, sharing with people in the practice. Like one thing that's big for me, creating connection through those ways, also creating physical connection. I love assists. They're important. I really bring a lot of care to assists when I'm teaching. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes I make jokes. They don't always go over great, but I still make them because it's a way of just like elevating, bringing a little bit of levitation to people's days. So I'm saying this because then it gets your brains thinking, well, what have I been returning to? What words feel important to me? What values are important to me as a teacher? Yes, Rita.
I said intuitive, joyful, and functional
Mm.
for 3. I don't know how I would like put that into a mission statement.
Yeah, that's
But yeah,
okay.
joyful is kind of under a similar vein as a play. Just
Yeah.
that I really think that when you're having fun, you do better. Not like just like you're better at the thing, but you're just able to be more present. You're able to kind of let go of any like preconceived notions of what you think you should look like or be like. And I think that's something that when I started yoga kept me in it, like just that feeling of experiencing joy and like, I don't know, and like not taking it too seriously.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And also functional, just in the sense of like, I think it's more important to have a practice that's like elevating your life and, you know, and the things that you want to do in your life than it being like, oh, I need to back bend that, you know, where it looks very impressive, but like for 99% of the people, it's like, that's not gonna.
Let me tell you, a back bend is not gonna bring you enlightenment. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe, but more likely than not, it's not the path of enlightenment. Asana is just one portion. And if you're not infusing meaning into the asana, you're not gonna get to pratyahara, to dharana, to dhyana, those sorts of things. Yeah, I think that's great. Joy, I was just reading this thing about yoga philosophy, this commentary that was saying all yogis like provide meaning into everyday life. It just, and joy is one of those things that like allows you to note meaning in something. There's meaning in all of us showing up at 6 o'clock and sitting down to say, how are you? And there's meaning in just like writing down a few words and sticking with those or not sticking with those. Yeah. Okay. I want, while you're marinating in those thoughts, in your manual, which you're welcome to follow along or not, there is a section on the business of yoga. It's 1.7, and I believe it's still page 26, so it's early on. I think it's still page 26, but this is the document that we're going to be speaking from tonight. We'll get into this a little bit and then we'll take a break. So number one, first thing we want to talk about, well, we talked about the mission statement, but is professionalism. Even if this is something that you think you want to do as a hobby, or it's something that feels like you're passionate about it, but you don't know, you know, how far you're going to take it, still regarding it with professionalism, it might seem like a given, but that's important. Besides your why, besides your mission statement, what are other ways to show professionalism in this kind of environment? Being prompt, yeah. Oh, sure. Yes, having the space ready.
And I can't remember if it was in a class or in the book, but I remember us discussing at one point that what feels obvious, but like don't make a move on your students type thing, like that feels like a really big part of professionalism.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
You're a teacher.
We just said, don't make a move on your students. yeah.
Like, don't try to put up big action with somebody who's coming to you.
Yeah, really big in professionalism and the ethics of, or the nature of this work. Yes.
Well, I mean, if I saw that happening, let alone if it happened to me,
Yeah.
I would never come back to a studio. Like I don't care if it's another teacher teaching the class. Like I would just be like, that's not okay. And I just, yeah.
Very icky.
And at the end, that book is closed.
Yeah.
Also, like not painting yourself as an expert.
Oh, love that.
Everything yoga.
Yes, because we are not experts. We just can't be. We can't, there is too much to know about it. So not painting yourself as an expert.
Not walking around texting or calling. I mean, I think it's an obvious thing, but also like the students might do that too. And,
Yeah.
to call it out in a professional way instead of being rude about it. You could, I noticed actually when I was observing Austin's class, that yeah, like somebody's phone went off and he just made a joke about it, and you know, she's probably not gonna do it again, but you know,
Right.
he didn't call her out in a rude way. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, or as a teacher, like because our phones provide our music, right? But if I'm carrying mine with me around in class for any reason, I'll explain why. I'll say, oh, right, there was something I wanted to read to you that's on my phone. And then I go get it and come to the class and I'm like, okay, here it is. And then I put it back. It's not so that I could check something. These things seem like givens, but still it helps to say, you know, it really helps to say friendliness is a part of professionalism. Really here we create experience from the time the person walks in the door is the hope and the time they leave to the time that they walk out the door. Yes, Christine.
Not forget,
Yes.
stay positive and not use foul language.
Yes. Think of the people in your workplace as a child whom you do not want to hear curse words. Yeah. It's just a good general rule of thumb. Yeah. So beyond that, like idea of professionalism and having like a clear statement of who you are and what you want to be doing with teaching, it would be good to create a resume, a separate yoga resume. It doesn't have to have much on it, but it can have your mission statement on it. It can have what your objectives. It can have your teacher training. It's okay if that's all that's listed, but go ahead and make one. Just go ahead and do it. Find like a basic document that's got some of that stuff in it. It's nice to create a resume. That also helps you keep track of workshops and trainings that you teach. And we'll talk about in a little bit later in the evening, we'll talk about Yoga Alliance and how that also helps you keep track of teaching hours, trainings, things like that, continuing education, all of that stuff. So creating a resume and personal practice, which I already spoke to, it's really essential. So these are the things that we want to think about when we say, okay, well, how am I going to take this to the next level and become professional with it? You must practice. It's just so apparent when I mentor newer teachers, it's really apparent if they haven't been practicing. And we don't, do this, but we do say, hey, if you feel like it wasn't a win today, have you been practicing? And then they'll say, no. And then you're like, well, then I can't help you more than that. You got to keep up with the practice. It's so, so, so important. Be the little engine that could. Okay. Yes. Uh-huh.
So I did the homework for it and for it to make part of it.
Yes.
I had to research 3 different organizations, like what their mission statements were and their like rules that they had for like the teachers if they're gonna be part of that organization. And everyone that I looked at said that you're required to have a personal practice that you show up to that every day.
Wow.
Yeah, which I was like, because like I'm not good at showing up every day. Like I show up as frequently as I can, but
Yeah.
it just really emphasized to me how important that was
Mhm.
and how they want their teachers to be on that level of commitment to
Yes.
practice.
Commitment too. I mean, it is your practice, it becomes one of the best teachers you could possibly have, especially if you're teaching asana. If you became a meditation teacher, I'd say, please, for the love of God, practice meditation. You know what I mean? The more you practice those things, that's really cool and impressive. And also that's a lot. So when we say practice, I think I mean 2 things. Yes, if you're planning to teach vinyasa, practice vinyasa, but also practice asana in general. Just practice asana in general. Also, you can practice any of the other 8 limbs of yoga, and that is a part of your practice. That's still important. What are the 8 limbs?
Yeah.
Yamas, niyamas. Asanas next. Pranayama, then pratyahara, yes, then dharana, dhyana, samadhi. If anyone ever gets there, call me. And because I'd love to know. Yeah, so practicing any of those still informs your teaching. I used to have a teacher that said a good rule of thumb is to practice as many hours as you teach. I don't know, like for some folks who are teaching, well, I'm not teaching 10 hours of asana this week, but I am teaching 10 hours of yoga this week. There's no way I'm going to actually, that's not true. I was going to say there's no way I'm going to practice that much yoga this week, but between the few classes that I do a week, between meditation, who knows? I don't know. But it's like a nice way to kind of judge. Are you keeping things balanced? Because let me tell you, you can burn out real quick from teaching. It just happens if you're not caring for yourself. Yeah. What I'd like for us to do, questions? We'll get a little bit more into some other things, lots of other things. So questions up to this point?
I think
Yes.
what do you? I just like to hear other people's perspective on this. So what do you do when you get to that, even as an actor or something like that, what do you usually do to encourage yourself to keep showing up to the mat?
Ooh. Mhm. Well, of course, it's different for everyone, but I have made coming to this studio and coming to practice, it's twofold. It feels like I haven't done this at all, and that is just a blessing. And also it does feel like I put work into creating just the joy around simply practicing. I just love to move my body. I love it. That's why I love practicing. I love learning new little things. And at the same time, I love returning to what feels home-like and normal to me all the time. So even more so beyond the learning portion of it, I just like that it feels familiar. It has become a happy space for me, which is why it's easier for me, even with all of the things in life, it's easier for me to show up. Now, does that mean it's always felt that way? No, but I think people remind themselves, okay, I am guessing that most of you did not begin yoga because things were going great in your life, or you didn't begin teacher training because it felt like there was nothing lacking. Do you know what I mean? We come to these spaces in a time of need, even if you don't realize it. And so I continue to come to the space I've created because I know I need it, even if I do feel like things are going well now. Yeah. So I hope that's an okay answer. Yeah. Okay. Lotus.
I haven't done this right now. Doesn't it feel nice to me?
Yeah.
And that actually happened recently. And I had to ask myself, well, why am I not enjoying this? And I think that I kind of took the fun out of it a little bit by expecting complete perfection, not exactly that, but knowing like, because I've done teacher training, like, oh, I should do this and this and this, and instead of, I took myself out of the present and I didn't allow myself to connect again. And because I had that train of thought, I had to just stop for a second and be like, okay, this is not working. I'm gonna just take a break. Maybe I go for a run, maybe I go for a hike, just have a different type of movement, a different type of intention. Maybe even like while I'm on the hike, I listen to a podcast just to get my brain stop thinking.
Yeah.
And then I just did like maybe a Sunday and it felt a lot better just to do something that I knew from the beginning, but also just to refamiliarize myself with it. Like saying hello to a friend that you haven't seen in 3 years. That's what helped me a little bit. I don't know if that helps you.
Yeah, that's great. Yes, thank you. And by the way, you don't have, I mean, I'm here to encourage you, but you don't have to drink this Kool-Aid. You know, you don't have to. That's all right too. If you decide it's no longer for you at this time or whatever it is. Okay, so let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back at 7:11 to continue discuss. Get up and move, drink some water. Thank you online. Alrighty, let's come back to our document. I'm just gonna have to start plowing ahead. What's next is the question. Well, we can talk about wait. Well, no, that's the question on the sheet. What's next? What's next? Uh-huh. Yeah, and it can be formatted a little bit different, but normally it's teaching a class to I don't know, 1, 5 people. I don't really know, but yeah, I'm not sure. They haven't done an audition here in a long time. And generally the jobs that I do don't require audition, so I'm not sure. Yeah. Yes. We are rarely in the position of bringing on other teachers because we have a great mentorship internship and we've got an influx, you know? So let's talk about the internship, what that looks like. So Saturday or whatever day, whenever Al comes back, whatever day you end up finishing this. And of course, Saturday, you still have stuff to turn in, right? And all of those things. So it's not like you get your certificate on Saturday or anything. But yes. Oh, Kristen sends, it used to be an actual piece of paper. But now they probably just send you a PDF of a document that's like, hey, I completed my teacher training with Cambio or whatever it is. So yeah, you'll do your teach out, then Kristen will say, I need these things from you or whatever. Then she'll say, how do you want your name on your document? And then she'll probably reach out in a couple of weeks, I'm not sure the timeline, saying, hey, now we're accepting applications for our internship. And then you'll reply to her, and her and Austin and maybe the whole management team kind of filters through those and decides whether it's all a good fit. Our internship here looks like 12 weeks. It's, oh, no, let me say this. I'm sorry. Let me edit. It's between 12 and 15 weeks. So normally it's 15, but it depends. If someone like just came in guns a blazing, is subbing a lot and their mentor is like, wow, this person doesn't need much more, then you could finish in 12 weeks or something like that. This is unpaid. It's unpaid time, but and we like to make that clear, but it's also just a really great way to get your foot in the door, especially if Cambio is a place you love, where you are paired with a teacher who's hopefully had experience and has like those great feedback conversations we were talking about. So throughout the course of the 15 weeks, you can reach out to your mentor at any time to ask questions. They come like to take your class 3 times. And so you have FaceTime 3 times basically. And you can have you make what you want with that relationship. And that's actually people people outside of this scope will hire mentors. Like mentorship is paid generally, like you have to pay for mentorship. So Cambio kind of does it the opposite way. They say, thank you for your time. We're giving you some teacher time to kind of help with your goals and help you brush up or where to focus on your teaching. So that's what the internship looks like. Application process with Kristen. Oh, there are also adjusting internships. So maybe you can apply for both, or you could apply for one. Maybe you're not really ready to teach, but you're interested in adjustments, or you want to kind of get your foot in the door, see what it's all about without applying for a teaching internship. Adjusting internship. They are so fun, I think. So that's welcome and a possibility. Yes, it's the same length. And all of this kind of Kristen heads it up. So as Kristen is the YTT coordinator, she's also just the coordinator of most all things. Yes.
I guess, what does that mean? Because obviously we've been taking classes with like the vinyasa interns. Right, so what does it just mean?
You're paired with a more experienced teacher, and you're depending on your availability, and if that, like the teacher, you show up to their class for 15 weeks and you adjust with them. Yeah.
Someone else is interested.
Well, Caleb doesn't get a say in any of it.
What she was doing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
He was interning.
Oh,
So he was explaining.
it's a different way of interning. Yeah. And I've got to say, whenever people do an adjusting internship, not sometimes, but they learn so much. If you're the kind of person who learns through like just absorbing and watching everything and what the teacher is doing, it just escalates the progress of your own teaching. It really does. To be able to be in that situation where you're not focusing on teaching, the lighting, the music, the this, the that, and you're just assisting and watching the teacher, it can be really, really beneficial. So that's also free. And thank you for that question. And internships they can be solo. So you could have one class time to yourself, or you could share it with someone. And the way that works is 1 week, one person, let's say A person teaches while B person is there and adjusts with them. And then the next week, B person teaches while A person is there and adjusting with them. Yeah.
The other week you said something about trauma-informed training. Is that offered here?
So we don't offer a trauma-informed training here yet. So let's talk about trainings that we offer. And I encourage you to any outside training also, they're going to encourage you to take as well. It doesn't have to be at Cambio. We offer a yin training. Austin does that in the spring, generally in May. We offer a hot training for those of you who practice hot and want to teach it. And that is, I think, with Amy Kelly and Janine and like all the faves there. They run that training, and it's not this amount of time. It's much less time, and it's spread out over a couple of months, but it's the time commitment is much less. What else do we do? What other styles are there? If you became hired on here as a teacher, you also have the opportunity for gentle internship, for adaptive internship, for beginner teacher internships, all of those sorts of things, as we're always wanting and needing more of those teachers. Yes.
So, and maybe this is gonna come up later, it's like, more in this class, but they have talked about the
I don't know. Generally, no. So, I can't say with certainty, but normally those kinds of like get you integrated internships into a style of class can take like 6 weeks, something like that. So it's not a full 15-week thing. What other questions? So those are the trainings that I can think of that we offer here. There's also continuing education hours. And like Laura Lance has a continuing education for the art of assists coming up. And so occasionally we try every quarter, but I don't know that it always works out. Teachers will offer continuing education workshops. So that can be anywhere from anatomy to assists to philosophy to sequencing, to any of those kinds of things where you're like, I really do want a little bit more. CEUs, yes, yes. So if it is with a Yoga Alliance certified yada yada teacher, then it counts for continuing education units or continuing education hours, CEUs. We
not
call
every workshop would be like eligible for continuing education.
Correct. Yes. And we offer a variety of both, but generally in the description, it will say this counts as 2 CEUs or whatever it is. Yeah. So that is what we do here at Cambio. Oh, we could also talk about the 300-hour program. So if you're like, I never want teacher training to end, do 300-hour. It's even better. I can't even tell you how much better. It's even better. It's even more work, but it is wildly helpful in learning, not just in your own learning of yoga, but in learning of yourself and of your relationships and how you move through the world. It's just a way of giving you tools for all of that. In the 300-hour, you learn to work with private clients. You go more deeply into philosophy, into sequencing. You learn more about what a certain tradition and style around a sadhana looks like, and you build a sadhana. You practice teaching sadhana. So that is intention setting, sankalpa, teaching chanting, teaching asana, teaching pranayama, teaching meditation. You learn all of these things in 300-hour. You learn more about nidra and how to teach nidra, how to teach restorative. You can't go out into the world and say, I'm certified for those things, bless you. But you can say you've had education and training and experience in those. Yeah.
What's the difference between being certified and being licensed?
Well, we don't do any licensing. So certification is really just saying a completion of a program.
And you're saying that after you're technically not certified to be like I didn't
Yeah.
understand the last part you said.
Yeah, you couldn't go and say, I'm certified to teach yoga nidra. But you could put on your resume, I've had nidra training, you know, yeah. And you don't necessarily need the certification. I mean, yeah, it depends on like the who's hiring and what is their, musts, things like that.
Would you say you're certified? So like the yin training that happens with Austin, like would you say you're certified in yin after taking it?
I don't know what kind of like form of completion you get. I'm not sure, even though I took it. But I also never completed all of the work. I was just like, oh, this is cool. I'm not gonna finish. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but you could always ask him. What else do you wonder about along these lines, Sal?
I think I heard or read maybe that you have to have a certain number of CPUs in order to keep your certification.
Yes, yeah, and you know what? We'll get into that when we talk about Yoga Alliance and what it is. Yeah. Okay, well, let's more training. We want you to do it. Okay, ways to build community outside of Cambio. Ooh, this is a fun thing too. As a Cambio teacher, I'm just really into Cambio, I guess. But as a Cambio teacher, we also are paired in like little buddy groups. And so we do like text check-ins with each other, like what you do in your mentor groups. We do that weekly. And it's just a fun way to like get to talk to a teacher we don't see very often and things like that. And it's just a nice way, another way that Cambio is trying to support community and growth that way. So if you are a social media person and you want to build community on Facebook, there are a few different Facebook groups that are fun to be a part of. Yoga teachers, Pikes Peak Region Yoga, yoga teachers of Colorado Springs, Denver Yoga. I'm a part of this one. I'm rarely on Facebook, but I'm a part of a group that's just like sequencing tips and tips or whatever. And I'm telling you, people get into, I don't know how or why. And I'm sorry if you spend much time on social media. I don't know how, what else they do with their lives, but they will write big things about what their feelings on sequencing are. Some of it's helpful, some of it's just like, whoa, I needed to read this to remind myself not to be a part of drama. So there's just like anything that people are passionate about, lots of people have lots of feelings. Yes, especially online. And another question is, do any of you want to open your own studio? Are you interested? Yes. Well, I definitely say, we like to say at Cambio, we fully support it. We just want more people doing yoga. We're definitely a studio who tries to build up and support other yoga studios. Keep this in mind. Oh, and I didn't say online. Either of you want to start a studio? Yes? Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, the big thing I'm going to say about it, two big things. One, if you want to go into business with a partner, try to make sure it's not your friend. Make sure it is a business partner or that you have a legal and binding contract. Second thing is be ready to do it all. Be ready to have no days off and be ready to, scrub toilets if they need to be scrubbed. It's just one of those things. It's a really hard gig. I bet Austin and Amber would be happy to talk with you about their humble beginnings and how they have really sought out business growth mentorship. That's not something that they really built on they have built it on their own, but they've also needed community with other small business owners. They've had like a mentor for building their business. It's just a really hard gig. So we're here to encourage you and also be realistic with you. which is give it a go, but remind yourself of how much work and legalize everything. It is rough out there. We now have HR, like a separate HR that's not even a part of, like, we hire out this person to be our HR person. Everyone does harassment and sensitivity training, and all of these things are necessary and also hard. It's just hard. So, yeah, questions on, I know it's hopefully, so it was really sad to say goodbye to some of the studios in the area after COVID. Like, some of them just couldn't recover. We were really lucky. I'm not going to say we've even recovered since then financially, and we have not recovered the same numbers to which we had before COVID. So it's but it's possible to keep going. So there's my little bit about that. Questions? What do you want to know about owning a yoga studio? Or opening one? Yes. Private teaching. We can talk about it now. Yeah.
And now it just felt like a thing instead of, like seriously.
It's definitely not this is like tomorrow.
So what's your question?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I think it's being a business person, now, dealing with people in a different way than you have with a public class, person on. What are the qualifications and expectations and legalities that you have to be accredited
Oh,
for yoga?
great.
Especially with caregivers, I know they offer it.
Mm-hmm.
Could you do it by yourself, or could you do it through a studio? How does that?
Yeah, good. Oh, caps lock. I want to. So let's talk about what you need as a teacher. Legally, you must have insurance. So we're moving on just a little bit. Career path page. I want to find this. Career path flowchart. Is this it? And I'm sorry, I'm still pulling things up. Like I said, I found out just this afternoon that I was going to be with you all. So I haven't practice, study, ask for feedback. You know all of those things. This is interesting. Okay. Internships, teach regularly, subclasses, teach specialty, workshop, community. We've talked about all of this. Alrighty. No, I feel pretty good about what we've covered so far. So let's talk about what you need. Insurance. So you're definitely going to want and need insurance. And let me give you a few examples. Oh, you have some listed there. Liability insurance is what you're going to want. And it can be pretty general. It's for any fitness instructor, basically. So I have mine through Philadelphia. There are a few others that are listed. Massage Magazine, hpso.com, Alliant. So it's, is anyone a physical therapist or a massage therapist or anything like that in this group? Okay, so yeah, it's along those same lines. You can get something through them as well. And or I think perhaps Yoga Alliance maybe has a couple of partners that, and so when you're on the Yoga Alliance website, you could always look at like what kind of insurance they offer. Yoga Journal used to offer one, but I don't know if they do anymore. So it'll be important to get liability insurance, especially if you want to teach sooner rather than later. How much is it?
No, how much are you getting a liability?
I think it's something like that. It's something like $1 million. I now I just renew mine. I never even look at it for what am I for? But it's whatever is standard. It's standard is fine. And that normally costs like $125 a year, something like that. So it's pretty easy to renew. You also want your CPR certification and first aid training. That's something you renew every 3 years. But most places you work will ask for proof that you're up to date on that. Here, it's really great because someone emails you a month before and says they keep track of it. And it's Erica. It's amazing that Erica does that. But Erica keeps track of it and says, hey, it's time for you to renew this. Can you send it in to me? Blah, blah, blah. Then you're also going to want to decide for yourself a billing system for when you do end up teaching something privately. So it's fairly easy to make an invoice if you need to find a template. And it's also, I bring this up because I want you to think about what your time is worth. So if someone asks, oh, what would you do this for? That you already have a price in mind. We get lots, like I said, in the teacher community here, we get lots of like something from Erica or Kristen that's like, hey, you guys, we need this, I don't know, a festival. I mean, they're not big and shiny opportunities, but it's like this woman's group is interested in a monthly class for this amount of money. Is anyone interested? Or whatever it might be. Or kids soccer club is looking for yoga twice, and here are the details. You've got to decide what your time is worth to you. Now I'll tell you what we generally make here in Colorado. It varies a lot. It varies a lot. So and I'll try to be as transparent as I can. When you start teaching at Cambio, it is what's minimum wage now? It begins at minimum wage, the hourly pay. And you typically work for 2 hours to teach a class because you're there half an hour before, half an hour afterwards. Then every year, if you do your yearly review, you are eligible to get a raise. And it's a pretty decent, I mean, it adds up over time, but it's a generous percentage, like I want to say like 2% raise or something like that. It's something that seems fair. Although every year you're like, man, I wish I made more, you know? So it can range here at Cambio hourly from minimum wage up to $50 or $60 an hour, depending on your experience and how long you've been with Cambio. It's pretty typical to be paid hourly. I would be aware, just be wary if there is any studio. Some studios have the model of you're paid per person that shows up for class. And that's got its benefits too. It really does. Because say you had 10 people show up for a class and you were getting paid $10 per person. That's a really good day. But yeah, that sort of a thing. Yeah. Who can afford it?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Basis of yoga stuff.
It's not, it can't, it both have their pros and cons. Like if you've teaching a class where you're paid hourly, you know you're always going to get that pay. It's not congruent with the amount of people who show up. So you don't have to worry about how many people shows up, which, by the way, how many people showed up to your class is not an indicator of how good of a teacher you are. So even though I should have said that maybe Sunday and not tonight, if you remember anything, it's not an indicator of how good of a teacher you are. It's really easy when you start teaching to be like, I'm getting people returning and wow, my class is kind of full or whatever. There are many, many times you'll teach a class to just 1, 2 people, or depending on the time of day, I've had interns who are like, well, no one showed up today. It's not you. Over time, maybe you want to reevaluate, be like, is it me? Would someone please, can you come take my class and give me feedback? But please, please, please try not to let this get into your brain about whether you're a worthy and good teacher. You all are going to finish. You're good. Okay. You're going to be good at this. You're going to finish it. You're worthy to teach this. Okay. Where am I? CPR, first aid, billing system. Okay, so working with private clients. This is something that is, it might be a nice precaution, but it's not a necessity, is to have like a little liability release form that they just standard. You can pull something up. You could even use Cambios or part of Cambios, take out the Cambio language, have someone sign it. I've done this before. I don't work in places where I need it now, but I have done it, and it can be helpful to have just like a standard liability release, and to have, if someone said, hey, how much an hour for you to teach a class? Well, factor in what your time is worth, your knowledge, your driving time, all of that stuff, how far away it is. You know, it's, you could absolutely say $25, $30 an hour for you to give your time to teach something. It's absolutely reasonable. Now in the Bay Area, they would be like, are you kidding me? They do more like $50 an hour, like San Francisco Bay. Yes. So, but in like regionally too, the South, like some of those groups I've been a part of where you see online, someone will say, hey, I'm just curious, what's your hourly rate? And regionally, it varies greatly. In Colorado, since we are so saturated, that's why our hourly varies so much. It just is disparaging that way.
But in San Francisco, really saturated too, right?
It is, but the cost of living is much higher. Yeah, so it kind of goes with the cost of living in certain places. Yeah. Yeah. Any questions online that I have missed? Okay. Okay, corporation, taxes and deductions. All right. Well, there are different ways to get paid. You can be an independent contractor. You can have employee status. Here at Cambio, we have employee status. At my other job, I'm an independent contractor. It's pretty easy to go online and get an LLC. It costs like $5 a year or something like that. You just boop bop beep, and then you've got your LLC stating that you work for you and that your home is your office or whatever it is. And it's just a way for you to be legalized in order to, I keep saying legalized, it's so weird, Rebecca, in order to invoice people when you need to invoice folks.
Also say that you, for like, if something happened, your insurance didn't pick it up, they can.
Yes. Yes. And now I don't know all of the stipulations around like the law part of it, but I do know I had to do it for one of my jobs, and it's easy. So if that's something you're interested in a way to make things a little bit more official for yourself, or legally it feels like a good decision for you, go for it. Okay. Did you have any other questions about working with private clients? Okay, yes.
So I thought about like visiting our to having like yoga, thing there, or
Mhm.
like at the ice skating I go to, maybe offering yoga classes or something. So to do that this is just the basic steps I would need if I wanted to say, hey, I'd like to start this. Or would I?
Yeah, I mean, you can always still be all grassroots about it and say, hey, do you want me to teach yoga? I've had this training now. But it's just in this day and age safer to have a paper trail and have things a little bit more official. Yeah. I would say gauge the interest first
Yeah.
before you go through the
All of it,
time
yeah.
of, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
As far as your marketability though, so we take the 200 class, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Pass, and we have our certificate, then what more are people looking for? What kind of makes you marketable? Like, if you take the 300 class, it sounds like it's more your personal development, but what I heard you say is it's not really any certification that you're getting.
Okay. It's definitely going to make you more marketable to have a 300-hour training. I honestly don't, I bet I do have a piece of paper that's like, you completed 300 hours, because there are stepping stones, especially made through Yoga Alliance. So I'll say if you're wanting to work for any studio that is registered with the Yoga Alliance, okay, in general, ethically, the more training you have, the better. But there's a lot of places that won't hire people until they have their 500-hour yoga teacher training. There's a lot of, this has just been a general discussion for years that a 200-hour is not enough to teach a safe class. Here, I think we actually did that. I think you can teach a safe and well-rounded class. But not everywhere has such standardized learning and has like a really great, like what we talked about, a great skeleton. So yes. Yeah.
So when you say 500, is that mean the 200 plus 300?
Plus the
or-
300.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think-
And if you want to teach any kind of teacher training or be on staff anywhere or anything like that, you have to have a certain amount of hours of teaching and have your 500-hour.
And that's like,
Yeah.
and that's like vetted through Yoga, or
Yes.
vetted, like they keep track of how many teaching hours you have.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
that was. So if you were to go and apply to a different studio and they're like, well, how many hours has this person got? Do they like log on to Yoga Alliance and look you up?
I don't know.
Okay.
And also I would hope not. Like if you've got that stuff on your resume, it's this whole how many hours you've taught thing is such a big point of contention anyways, because there are other skills that can be applied from other jobs into teaching that already just makes you a more experienced teacher. You know what I mean? Even if you haven't taught yoga, thousands of hours of yoga. But it is a way that the Yoga Alliance tries to vet and create like standards around teaching. Yeah.
500 hours of training to be something YT, like YT, RYT, yeah, and then along with 1,000 hours.
What is OYT?
Yeah. Okay. I need to go get the whiteboard for this portion of the discussion. So let's take another 5-minute break. We'll be back at 7:55. And then all will be explained.
You don't hear Matt. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So Yoga Alliance, YA, you'll see it often referred to. So RYT means registered yoga teacher. We can do either 200, this marker doesn't work, or after that, RYT 500. So understand just the terminology around it. You are registered with Yoga Alliance. You don't have to register with Yoga Alliance. You are certified to teach Vinyasa Yoga through Cambio. So you're certified through Cambio to teach Vinyasa Yoga. But you, if you so choose, you can register with the Yoga Alliance. And it's basically like a way, like I said, if you want to someday teach, some teachers do it, some don't. But if you want to keep track of your hours, you manually enter them. It's a way to keep track of your training hours as well. You manually enter them. Yes. Yeah. So, the benefits, arguably, one is just the credibility. Secondly, there's a lot of continuing education that goes along with this. It's a way to connect you nationally and globally. So there is community. There are tons, like they have archives of continuing education videos and workshops that you can watch. You can also, it's a database. So if you're interested in like a training on prenatal, you could look up trainings, read people who are certified to teach those things through Yoga Alliance. It's not, and I don't understand why. Postpartum, which is honestly arguably much harder. Speaking from my own experience, it is a much harder time. But prenatal is really nice because your body can't do the same things, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of helping you prepare for birth, they say. All of that. So we've got RYT 200, RYT 500. If there is an E in front of this, markers suck. That means it's really dumb because it stands for experienced registered yoga teacher, but it means that you have at least 1,000 hours of teaching experience logged. An E in front of RYT 500 is at least 2,000 hours teaching experience logged. What do you mean?
Just go to the website and think, I have 1 hour of yoga class today.
Yeah, it's really, I don't log all of mine because it's very effing annoying. It's really, it is very, yeah, you got it. Well, I figured out a way finally where I would like log them per month. I would say I taught this amount of vinyasa this month, but still there's so many little steps you have to go through to click and say this and that. And yeah, it's kind of annoying, but it's a way to legitimize your teaching if you care about those things. Baby, you can do whatever you want. Yeah. They're probably moving into Shavasana fairly soon, because it's a yin class. Yes, you can do whatever you want with that. Um, some people like those things. If you're a spreadsheet person, you might really enjoy spending your time logging hours onto Yoga Alliance, but it's a very tedious. You also can log your continuing education hours. So to stay registered with Yoga Alliance, they ask for, I don't know how much money a year. It is for 200-hour certifications. If you, once you get, yes, once you start going up into these areas, it costs a little bit more money. Yeah, I know. That's why you decide if you want to even deal with these people. Yeah, right. Yeah. And I might be misspeaking. Maybe mine is still $65 a year. Yeah. It's from the date that you first signed up. So it's not per calendar year, it's per, yes. Yeah. It's per year that you registered with them. Boy, I don't know what they do about that. So they also, to stay registered with them, besides asking for your money, they also require, oh, I think it's like 30 hours worth of continuing education every 3 years. I want to say it's like, yeah, no, it's really great. It's a way to keep you learning, to keep you invested in your learning. For instance, here, Cambio just says, please send us, you know, they only ask for 4 hours a year. That they say, please show us that you've done 4 continuing education hours a year or something like that. Yeah. So it's 30 hours over the course of 3 years, and you have to have taught, I don't know, at least 10 classes in 3 years or something like that. So they want to see that you're still teaching. Other benefit, yes. Question that came from online, or was that Christina? Is that a?
No, sorry.
That's okay. Sounds like you're having a party there. So I hope you're enjoying it. Good luck trying to pay attention. So also another perk, I'm not even going to say it's a benefit, but a perk with Yoga Alliances, then you get, if you're with them, you get like a bunch of discounts on, I don't know, yes, exactly, all of that stuff. Things that you could care about or not. Discounts on Groupon, mats, Prana, like, so different yoga companies. Yeah. You can get discounts on like business services, law services, apparel. Gotcha. Yeah. So there's you should take a look at the website sometime and just decide if it's something that you want to do or not. It is something that I still, and most of us still do and pay for, but also in order for us to teach teacher training, we have to. Yeah. So yeah, there is that about Yoga Alliance. You don't necessarily need it. There are different levels of it. Oh, there's another one that you might see behind the teacher's name. YACEP. Yoga Alliance certified. Oh God, I don't even remember what this is. I don't remember. Does it say there, Josh? Ah, yes, there is one for therapy, yoga therapy as well. Yes, and yoga therapy is a whole other realm of which Laura or Amber could talk to you at any time because they went through their entire yoga therapy training. It's quite a huge endeavor, but there's a lot of discrepancy around like because it's new, there's not a lot of standardization around it. So just know you couldn't say, I am a therapist of yoga.
Yoga.
Education provider. Yes, thank you. Yoga Alliance Continuing Education Provider. So. You don't. No, you just have to be this. But you can also be this. And if you'd like to pay for the extra designation, you can. No, I don't know. I don't really know.
Do you know? I get it.
You pay for it. Like you have to be of a certain, I think you have to be this. And then you like pay an extra fee for the extra label. Yeah. Most all things require either this amount of teaching, so this designation, or they're going to encourage you to have RYT 500. But you cannot offer continuing education hours with simply a 500. So you can have two things, like moi has this one and this one, just standard. Yes,
So
still
the
working
1,000
towards.
was for 1,000 hours.
Mm-hmm,
What's that's for Yoga Alliance, correct?
mm-hmm.
And what is that? What is that? Or what?
What does it do?
Well, like
Yeah.
when I heard 1,000 hours, or like you have to have 1,000 hours of teaching
Mm-hmm,
in order to.
mm-hmm. In order to have this designation that says ERYT, which then allows you to provide continuing education hours or teach like teacher training faculty.
Okay, so you have to have 1,000 in order to teach like yoga. I mean, to become a part of the staff to
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah. Or you're working towards it, like here at Cambio, like for the internships because they do internships with 200-hour as well. And if you're interested in learning that subject matter, they just want to know your plan working towards this many hours of teaching.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like
Yeah.
talk.
Oh, it takes freaking forever.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's literally why I was
Yeah.
like, we got 2 classes, well then you get burned out. Awesome.
Exactly.
Like have a couple days to just decompress.
And that's why I say take this with a grain of salt. Try your best in whom you're interested in working for. Find out from them, just how much they abide by this. Because it is impossible. I mean, the Sarah Sullivan's of the world and the Caleb Halls of the world, who like right out of the gate were just teaching, and have been teaching, 3 years or something. Well, they've taught a lot. They have taught a lot. And also there is wisdom in the experience of how long you've been teaching, And so it's up for a yoga studio owner to decide like those things. So it's here to encourage you, not discourage you. You can go by this, you don't have to. You can teach a ton of classes, and
That's how it works. Or if you wanted to do it 3 years,
333
hours.
Yeah. a year that you're
For 3
teaching
years,
for 3
to
years.
get to 1,000 hours.
Like,
But I also feel like it doesn't have to be do this in this amount of time.
it doesn't. And that's why these guidelines, here they take it case by case, person by person. Because this does not go great with my whole just keep plugging away at it and life gets in the way sometimes ideology. Yes, Christine.
In order to do this, what is our license? Or if you take and you be an intern, like,
They generally, from your internship, and so the conduct and professionalism you've had throughout your teacher training, throughout your internship, then kind of puts towards like whether they decide to offer you a position or not. And this stuff doesn't matter as much as like being a kind, hardworking person. You know, that's kind of the basis of what they go for here. Now is that I can't speak for every studio, but yeah.
so as like you get into like teaching more and if someone wanted to make a living
Mhm.
off doing yoga, things like health insurance, and is that something that is available theoretically some places, or is that kind of like not a thing? Yoga, I'm just curious.
Okay, yeah. So the majority of people who teach yoga do it part-time. If it's just the majority, that's the way it works out. And if you do end up teaching full-time, really have to hustle hard to get that income. And I'm not entirely sure, Reba, so we can ask, but I haven't heard of, it's insurance through the self, insurance through like, you know, the
Yeah,
state
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever it is. Oftentimes, they
No,
don't
that's what I
provide those
figured, but
benefits.
I'm curious if that was even something anyone discusses in this realm of things, you know?
Yeah, of course. It's a great question and really matters, you know?
Just like from my experience, I used to manage Aveda salons and we hire yoga instructors. So if you were hired as a private contractor, you
Mhm.
would not be eligible for those things. However, if you worked a certain amount of hours and you put in a certain amount of time per se with Aveda, they would offer you like after 3 months, like supplemental insurance for this or
That's really cool.
and it was just for like things
Sorry, Mackenzie.
pertaining to Aveda. Like, I don't think it had, like, if you got hurt outside of the studio, obviously they would cover it, but like, not like, it wasn't the best insurance, I guess, I'll say.
Yeah.
Like, it was very basic.
Yep.
Well, and I think like wherever you are in the world, like get involved in those small business, like community groups.
Mhm.
That's a
Because
good
they'll have
idea.
a lot of good insights on what they're using, if there's
Sure.
better programs that are available locally.
Yeah. Other questions?
How many years did it take to be on the team?
Many.
I feel like even if you had a class, you know, regularly, like most people, they pee up once a week at first, you know,
Like most people do. We try to encourage folks to teach 1 to 3 times a week in order to keep your growth really exponentially going. It can't happen for everyone. It's not realistic for everyone. Like I said, there were years where I was teaching 1 class a week. So it took me up until, even though I've been teaching 9 years, it took me up until last year to officially get this. And that was when I was able to add in like teaching hours of different things, like teaching workshops, teaching in internships, all of those different things.
Only count vinyasa, that's all you're certified.
Oh, you can, whatever you're teaching, you can absolutely log it. It just depends on like the opportunities you make for yourself and how that coincides with your life. You know, I am 41 years old, people. It was in my 30s. all of this was not gonna happen for me while I was working full time, you know? Um, then I had a baby and I was like, well, I'm not going to spend every night and weekend either doing theater or teaching yoga. And guess what? I do.
You were waiting on that question.
They just come out of me like that. They just come out of me. Okay, other questions?
Set up. for the-
Yes.
Establishing your class and alternative sites, but. I see agree. Um, but what I was thinking was like. If you're in. Like, there's like a nonprofit that I wanted to offer a free class at.
Mm-hmm.
So I did something like that. And my guess is that the people who would come would probably not have materials to do yoga like mats and blocks and things.
Mm-hmm.
Would I, or is it like standard that I provide all that stuff? Would I ask for like a certain amount of money to buy that stuff? How would you go about it?
Yeah, okay, so Sal's question was if they were going to offer a class at a nonprofit, what about mats? What about props? What is standard for like who buys it, who provides it, that sort of a thing. And I'll say this for any kind of one, approach anyone and everyone that you're interested in teaching for. Even if it's Cambio, even if it's later, like you can't do an internship now, there's no pressure to do one. But if you still want to keep your foot in the door, please send them an email saying all the professional things. I've enjoyed my time here. I want to keep learning. Please keep me in mind the next round that you're doing, having an opening or whatever it might be. Okay. If you're approaching someone, it's the same kind of thing where it's okay to reach out and say, I'm interested in offering this service. This is what I stand for. This is what I believe in. This is what I think it could look like for both of us. What do you think? And then from there, figure out together, okay, what are we going to do about mats, props, all of that sort of thing? It's not expected that you provide those things. There are definitely ways that, and who, it never hurts to ask said organization, what can we do together in order to provide this? Maybe I'd word it that way, you know? Then you can price things out, or like you never know. Like our lost and found is cleaned out every month and it's taken to, what is it? It's not the Ark. It's not, I don't know. It's taken to a secondhand store or whatever and donated there. You can reach out to people or studios that you know who might be donating those sorts of things and say, hey, could I take your next batch? Or I'm trying to like get a collected amount of props going or something like that. So there's ways to I just say, reach out and ask as much as you can about resources like that. Certainly not expected for you to provide them. Also, all of you I think it's a really wonderful service if you want to offer yoga for free. And also Laura Lance would encourage you to think, is there some sort of transaction that can be made rather than offering my time for free? It doesn't have to be monetary, but in order to continue to maintain that what you have, your service is of value and of worth, just think about if you want to do it for free, really. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
Strawberries, grapes, purple.
Like a sourdough loaf. and I'm good.
Throw a couple can of water.
And it's important because, I mean, yoga is a sort of like, maybe kind of only solve for a circus, so it's like, it's also within a society. And a culture that is very capitalistic, that if you do not value your work yourself.
Yeah, totally. It's hard to advocate for ourselves.
It's hard to be an adult. It's all of those things. But you can do it. Mhm. I see. I can see.
Something set up, it helps from when you're. You have to do something else, because then you're not trying to replace somebody who's willing to do it for free, which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
Because you've already done the paperwork and done the due diligence to like, okay, this donor is willing to pay X amount for this service. It won't be much, but it's still.
Totally.
And then you're not asking something. Yeah, so I've coordinated for nonprofits in the past. Usually what I would do was, I would try and find an ongoing. The first round and just be like, because inherently the person who do it.
Thank you. Mackenzie, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering, just talking about like how you approach people that they're not really in the yoga realm, and kind of giving them that sense of like you have credibility, and also like explaining pricing and stuff like that, that like, I don't know, they don't, how you just bring yoga to people that are not familiar with it. Laura Lance and Caleb have kind of like mentioned like corporate yoga, but I don't really get what that means. Of like, I get you're taking it to an external organization, but just kind of like what that looks like in terms of like, I don't know, not watering it down, but just getting that mainstream appeal, that, and like working with organizations to like curate to what they need.
Okay, yeah, good. Well, for starters, some corporate, like the corporate job I have, I was approached. It was a lucky position to not have to be like, I would like to convince you of yoga's legitimacy. But if there were a place that you wanted to present this, it's all the things that we've kind of talked about tonight as far as professionalism goes. Have a business. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you need to have an LLC, but have a little, like, do some research around why you think it would be a good fit for their company. I heard something weird again, but Christina's not there. Oh, was that? Oh, Mackenzie, was that on your end? Sorry. Okay, so reaching out to just it requires Googling, internet research, requires your resume, it requires to have a little approach, like almost an elevator speech around, hey, this is the service that I provide. This is why I think it would be a good fit for your company. Would you like some details? What kind of questions do you have? And then from there, they can say, no, thanks, we're not interested. Or they say, yeah, tell me more. Well, this type of wellness is scientific benefits in the aging population, blah, 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 or whatever it might be. The things that seem relevant, and say, this is my, this is what I'm offering. This, whether it's like, would you be interested in a weekly class, a monthly class? This is my hourly rate. And just go from there. So set some of the standards for yourself, and then try approaching people in that manner, whether it's emailing them, cold calling, kill me, but you could, or I mean, lots of times we get opportunities, and I know you know this, by creating relationships that are already established. It's but through a friend. Oh, I heard that such and such. So the more people you just start telling, I teach yoga now, someone's gonna remember and be like, oh yeah, I have this friend who teaches yoga. Maybe I could reach out to them. It's really like, I mean, whether you want to call it networking or not, it's creating relationship, it's creating connection. Those are gonna more than likely get you opportunities. Any other questions about it?
Just to my point of like how you might present yoga differently to that kind of audience.
Like I said, I mean, I don't really know that you have to. You don't have to win them over if you want to, because I mean, everyone in the West hears now about the benefits of yoga. But if you want to bullet point some specific benefits about why you think it's a good fit for their company, you have to know kind of a little bit of background about their company. Why would it be a good fit for them?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay. All right. Somebody tell me, besides a studio, where else can you teach yoga? Online, in the park. Where else? College, school, summer camp, gyms, companies. Retail stores, bookshops, hospitals, home, out of your home. I'm no kidding. I'm not kidding. Someone approached me about teaching yoga in a hot tub sales place. I didn't do it. I was like, I don't know that that's a good fit. They were like, what do you think about this corner? I was like, I don't know. Yeah. What else? For whom else can you teach yoga? What a retirement homes. We said churches, synagogues.
They're like support groups or like therapy.
Support groups. I have a teacher friend here who was teaching recovery yoga. Retreats. Let me ask you, what are your hobbies and interests? Beach.
Well, it's,
Art centers? Sorry.
no, it's, oh, my, go you, okay. My favorite, yoga venue of all time was, in Hawaii on a, beach. It was like, no kidding, that they had like beach yoga, like, in Waikiki. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I did it to like 2 nights in a row.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I've done the paddleboard.
I don't know.
Oh.
I grew up on the water and I hate the beach and I hate paddleboard yoga. It's just not. Not for you. I love to paddleboard. I love to do yoga. Just
It's not, okay.
art spaces.
Art spaces.
I was gonna say therapy or
Clinics will say, hiking trails. That's a thing.
Breweries.
Breweries.
Very popular.
I feel like that's a good idea.
It's important. Is it? Breweries are more popular in Fort Collins, so.
I guess like Buddhist song.
Buddhist Sanghas. Cool. Let's talk about breweries. let's talk about the ethics around that. Just throwing it out there. This is why it's important for you to really understand why you teach, what you stand for, what your values are. I'm not discrediting anyone who teaches yoga at a brewery. For me, and I know Laura likes to say this as well, we would not do that. But if you are a person who enjoys yoga and brews, great, that's fine. I wouldn't feel comfortable teaching something like that. Yeah, it is like to do brunch yoga where you're like have a mimosa and then yoga or something like that. Why do you think it's like kind of in the air for me? People will throw alcohol into any activity. Yes.
Traditionally, you're not really on lunch before you do yoga.
Mhm.
That's one aspect, and also how safe is it? You've been drinking a bunch.
Sure.
After the-
Safety concerns, yes.
Yoga ethics to avoid substance abuse.
Ethically, this is the question I pose, are we honoring the roots of yoga, something that is for a lot of people sacred, holy, the roots that it came from? Are we really honoring it by pairing it with something that people go to recovery for, have dealt with addiction to? It's
I was gonna say, you're not taking shots.
He's
to
not.
church.
Hopefully
You know,
not.
But like, no, but it's funny, but like, at the same time, like,
I mean, we don't even drink.
like,
It's just, it at a brewery.
to me, like, I don't go to church.
See, that's one of the
Person.
things, it's like, it's actually
Yoga
a cultural
is-
thing for some people to
Because
drink
church is supposed to be
during
a
their
meditation
religious
or
practice.
Yes.
a meditative.
Like
thing.
They can't
Like-
drink while they're
like,
doing
I
yoga.
don't drink as
I
much.
just.
Yeah.
Like, yoga is my form of prayer. of
Yes.
Going to church. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So, like, and that's where I don't think people who are like, oh, let's booze up before we do it. It's like, I don't know if they are really like respecting what yoga is about, other than, oh, let's just get a cute fits on and step on some mats and do some poses. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful or discount what like maybe they have good intentions behind it, but for me, it's like if you have any like, at least like a basic understanding of what yoga is about, you're not gonna think, let's drink some beers before we do yoga.
Well, it's not even the before. It doesn't matter if it's before or after. I don't think, this is my opinion, that we should be drawing people to yoga, but enticing them like the carrot at the end of the stick is a beer or a glass of wine. That's me personally. Have I, does that mean, but that's my personal choice. Anyone else could have a different idea around it, and that's fine if you feel good about it. It's just a part of my duty, and what we put into this program is to say, make sure that you do feel okay with it and understand the opinions around it and the arguments around it. Is it truly honoring yoga? And if it isn't, I don't know. It's questionable.
Yeah, then my question is like, for a lot of things, and where is that line? Because like someone said goat yoga earlier,
Yeah.
it's like paddleboard yoga. Like there's so many iterations of yoga that it's not necessarily that I'm like, oh, that's good or bad, but it does like pose a question of like, where is the line between this is a unique, new, maybe slightly gimmicky thing?
Yeah, we do
And
call it
that,
gimmick
like,
yoga.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sure.
That's a great way of thinking about it, depending on how if it's outlined by your intentions. And there's no great answer. That's why we pose the question and say, You decide for yourselves how you feel about it. Goat yoga, those kinds of things. If it's fun and if this is what you came to the training for was because one day you wanted to teach amongst the animals, great. But it is just a conversation to be had.
Along those lines too, maybe like, how you teach it and how you protect like the safety of it. Like if you're doing, I would see like doing some yoga, I've never done it, and like still getting really thorough. I'm getting full shavasana with that. Goat yoga, maybe not, but maybe you have a moment where the goats
The goats are really.
you know, or whatever. Yeah, yeah. If there's like a way to like still support, plus I mean, if you check it past like yamas and niyamas, then it's like the brewery thing would quite fit because of Asha and, you know, so if it's like contradictory to the yamas and niyamas, and then you get up there and you're saying like, I'm like teaching this lineage, you know, but like we're just gonna ignore this part real quick, you know, that.
That's good. That's also like, I mean, we already talked about it, the message that you're saying about this practice. Maybe this is a third space for a lot of people, whether that's healthy or unhealthy. When you introduce that, you're introducing the idea like, oh, well, I can just do this and it's healthy and that include something that is unhealthy.
Or it offsets it.
Yeah, and I feel like
Detox to retox.
exactly, and like the authenticity of it is hard.
So I was thinking about no, because I was trying to be fair about what I was. What about like people that like smoke weed before doing yoga or before like they meditate? Because like weed has been used for like spiritual purposes in certain instances. I'm not advocating for it, but I'm just trying to understand that side of it as well.
Right.
I think it's up to personal preference, but also like me, I would never want to do that. But if another person wanted to do that, I think it's up to them. And if they're an adult and they can make that legal decision for themselves.
Well, different practices, different backgrounds, different religions will have different tolerances, kind of the point you were making earlier, like some religions incorporate alcohol into their practices and that is not a derivation of it. Some do that with other types of substances as well. Again, it's not a derivation, it's not a practice of it, it's the authentic representation.
Yes. Ultimately, it's wildly personal. And whether you choose to partake or not, totally fine. Think about it. What I'm asking you to do is think about it if you were to teach. Think about it from a professional standpoint and if that is in line with your values as a professional. Yeah.
Devil's advocate.
Yes.
What if that would be their the only way that somebody would like at a brewery? That would be like their only time that they would say, oh yeah, I'll try this yoga thing. Then that lets us start to where they end up coming here and change the lot.
Yes, I think that's amazing. Do I want to be that person? No. But I think, yes, absolutely. I appreciate playing devil's advocate. Oh, I mean, you could even do it in the brewery. It's just, so I appreciate the advocacy for both sides. That's why we're having the discussion.
Yeah, and that line gets blurred because I'm even thinking of like City Rock has yoga classes. It also has a brewery downstairs and it has, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it is kind of hard to moderate.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
It's
Yes.
I guess I just had a question. So do studios care? So we're talking about all these different locations and it's like, would a studio ever say like Cambio or insert any of the other studios or corporate studios that exist? They'd be like, okay, you could do working here and post your retreats, but don't you dare try and teach on it like at a winery or on the beach or something like that, because that's too much liability and we don't want our teachers associated type of thing.
Well, since you have your own liability insurance, one, that's one. But two, I would be wary of a studio who said that to me, who gave me stipulations around where I wanted to teach. I don't know, but I don't know of any that do. There used to be in the Cambio contract, I don't think there used to be a non-compete clause was like the only thing we had where you couldn't teach at another studio within a something mile radius of here. But I don't even know if that exists in the handbook anymore. So, yes. Yes, exactly. There are teachers who teach at classes. Yes, in the two studios. Yeah, right, right. Yes, Christy.
I think it's important to remember too, as a teacher, your influence. And, you know, what you might be sharing with the class, because, you know, they're looking to you.
Yeah.
Now, so you're like, I'm gonna smoke pot or glass, you know, might not be the best representation or, you know, the influence that you're trying to represent. No,
It's your mind.
oh, sorry. I just think that's something that I think that you might not think about is your influence as a teacher is more than you think. People are looking at you, whether you think that or not.
Yeah.
You know, we have the 200 class and you're brand new.
Yeah.
They're still looking to you, and I think you have, it's important to be a good example.
Yes. Ultimately, we all get, thank you for your thoughts on that. Ultimately, we decide what is being a good ambassador of yoga. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
I think it was Keelan who mentioned this, but he did his yoga training younger, he turned 21 while he was teaching,
Mhm.
and he commented that he would never drink the night before he taught. And
It was the day that he taught.
yeah, the
You wouldn't
day,
drink the day
yeah,
that he taught.
yeah, the day that he taught, he would not drink the night before, because he knew it would interfere with his practice, interfere with his teaching, and he would be able to hold the space for his students. And that reminded me of it, because you're projecting yourself into yoga, but you're also reflecting what's ever happening inside you now. Because if you can't, you know, be present-minded because of influence, how much are you and your students gonna get out of that class?
Right, especially if it's self-medicating for anxiety or depression instead of using it as a spiritual.
Oh, yes, good.
You're role modeling.
You are role modeling. Also, just a reminder, I'm not trying to have a conversation about whether it's okay for you all to partake in things or not. But yes, thank you for all of your thoughts on that and feelings. And I want you to look at all of the different ways in which you can market yourself, who you can market yourself to, and where you can create opportunity. Totally random chess clubs, knitting groups, I don't know, book clubs. I hear people do these kinds of things. Sports clubs are,
Rehab.
yes, and even at like, you know, professional athletes now, they all do yoga, like they have yoga. So there's all kinds of ways in which to find yourself a niche, find yourself some doors. You just have to get creative, brainstorm a little bit about it, and then get a little bit brave to reach out. Questions or thoughts? Here's some additional tips from teachers. Competition only grows the awareness of yoga. We just, I don't know, we don't we don't necessarily believe in competing with. We believe all ships rise with the tide. So that is within the culture here of the teachers, and that's within the culture of how we feel about the other studios. Support local studios and teachers. Keep practicing. These are all just like tips from other folks. Build relationships with fellow teachers and students. However, be discerning about dating your students.
See how it's they're
Yes, discerning, Viveka. Use your discerning judgment there. Ask for feedback and know how you like to receive feedback. Ask for specifics. Lots of these things we've covered, and I am lucky to have covered them with you in the last 48 hours. Find a mentor. Teaching is hard, so ask for help and guidance. Teach and adjust and stick with it. Stick with those things. Say yes to opportunities. Try them out. You might be surprised at what works for you and what sticks. You're not locked in one place forever. You're not locked in one mode of thinking forever. Understand we all humble ourselves to pay some dues. So if it's not here, it's maybe somewhere else. Honor your commitments. Be on time, be professional, practice and teach from the yamas and niyamas. Find a way to track your hours, whether it's like on your Google Calendar, a spreadsheet, whatever it might be. Remember the scope of ethics. We cannot diagnose. We do not diagnose. We say, have you seen a specialist about that? Thanks for telling me. Time management. I wonder what that means. Always be learning. That's from Austin Richmond, I'm sure. It doesn't say that, but always be learning. That is a thing he says. I said, well, the time management part did not sound like Austin Richmond. I slapped my knee for that because that is true. But that's why we're such good friends. We'll just call and talk and we're like 45 minutes. Okay, bye. Yoga will change for you over the years. Your practice will look and feel and be different. Let that be okay. You don't need a guru. Here, I mean, some people really feel, okay, if I'm truly going to live the life of yoga and continue the life of a yogi and a student, I must find a guru. You do not. We believe here that philosophically, we believe that the Sangha is the guru. The Sangha is the remover of darkness. And that's kind of how we that's what we honor the most. Is the Sangha, the community. Get involved and let the powers that be know that you want to be involved. Is it, I don't know. You want to help with that special event so that you can get your foot in the door? Just tell somebody, let them know. Practice first where you want to teach. Practice there. Probably. But that's where, I mean, that's how I got my jobs. I practiced there without trying to say, by the way, I teach yoga. So practice where you want to teach, make a connection, and be discerning. Is this a community that you want to be a part of? Finally, I bet this is from Laura. Instagram isn't yoga. The number of students you teach does not equate to how good of a teacher you are, which is said. Like, for instance, Rochelle, who is one of the best teachers ever, she's like a famous yoga teacher. She has a really small Instagram following. She's super humble. She's just like, and a lot of our like big name teachers that some of us are into, no, they don't have a big following on Instagram. Like headstand practice or a handstand practice or whatever it might be, that's cool to look at and everything. It does not equate good yoga. It does not mean you're a good yoga teacher or not. Whether you can do crow or, I don't know, full pigeon pose or something. It's, yeah. Wheel. Yeah, all of those things. That doesn't, so, focus on doing your thing and doing it well, Now, if you want to throw it out there on social media like we all do, to be like, hey, I'm teaching this class, hey, I've got this opportunity, great. But don't fall into the trap of what that is on social media. That's, you all know this, that's not real life. Okay, we're concluding. This suggests we conclude with a visualization or journal prompt, but I feel very good about what we have discussed tonight. I know you're tired. You've done a great job. I'd like for us to end with the word. So let's sit tall. I want you to feel good about going out into the world, offering your gifts.
Resolve.
Resolve.
Those were my words that embody, 3 words that embody resolve.
Thank you.
I like that idea. I'm gonna do connection.
Mm.
Possibilities. Celebration.
Do it.
Wow. Stars.
Bittersweet.
Oh. Mhm.
Learning.
Catalyst.
Mackenzie.
Humility.
Christina.
Gratitude.
I'm gonna say Sangha. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, and have a good night. And I'm planning to see you Thursday. Bye. Thanks, y'all.
It was like in person. It was at my observation at Austin's class. I said, it's nice to see you again. But because I totally recognized your face, but then I realized it was from the pre-recorded video.
Caleb said that
Gosh,
happened a
you
lot.
still having to watch those?
Yeah.
Ah.
Caleb has said the same thing, that people walk up and be like, I feel like I know you, but you definitely don't know me.
Ah, how embarrassing. That was something they did during COVID. That was fun. That's for sure. Oh,
I wanted to
oops,
send you-
stop recording. Stop.